Hi everyone, Fiona and Kate from Core Confidence. We're going to talk to you today about the stories we tell ourselves and our limiting beliefs. And you'll probably have times where you notice that you're saying to yourself, oh, I can't do that, or I need to do this before I do that, or I'm not ready, or, when I get more of maybe a qualification or experience or something, then I'll be able to. It's just really interesting to notice these stories that we tell ourselves.
Yeah, I know this one, Brené Brown uses this as a technique. It's something that we learned from her. I love it because it really kind of can shake or at least have us challenge perhaps some of what's really going on, because often it's the self-talk that we're attached to, and we have, we view that as a version of our reality. And I think there's so much value not only in being able to spotlight them, and I've used it as a technique before when I was triggered around something and I'm like, oh, so the story you're telling yourself is, and actually just by articulating it consciously to myself, not even out loud, I was like, oh, that's not true. So even just that process as a tool can be really powerful, but it's also the next level down when we actually look at the stories and what that says around our beliefs. That can really be, incredibly transformative. And you and I have experienced this at quite deep levels in the last couple of months ourselves.
Yes, yeah, I love this piece that as we notice the stories and we get curious about what's going on, we can actually see that they're connected to something else, as you say, much deeper. And these things will be our beliefs. And some of these beliefs we'll be aware of, we'll be conscious of, but most of them are unconscious. And very often, the ones that are telling us we can't do something or we'll fail or it won't go well or we've got something to be frightened of, they're the unconscious limiting beliefs. And it's really helpful to, with good support and to feel that you are held well as you examine it, to dive in and have a little look at these, because they're often created in childhood. And they're designed at the time to protect us. Like, that's why we went there. We realized, something was worrying or frightening to us. And so we built up a belief around that. What we know is as we mature and we get into the world and we're adults, that may have become an armor. Like, and again, Brené Brown uses this language, the things that served us well in the past now don't. It's a piece of armor that's actually keeping us away from what we want and holding us back. And very often we're not stepping into our potential because we've got these stories about what we can and can't do.
Yeah, and the stories lead you to the beliefs. The beliefs are really, the edge of your map of the world of what's possible for you. And so I think, one of the biggest pieces in terms of personal growth, and you and I've, experienced this, many a time, is the more that you spotlight with compassion. I think that's the really important piece. Is any of the work that we do in Core Confidence is always about understanding ourselves better, understanding our relationship with different dynamics like fear and confidence and self-belief, asking for help, all those sorts of things, understanding those dynamics, but understanding with compassion. So we're not kind of, and interestingly, we are predisposed to just want to go, oh, there it is. And, I'm not good enough and all of that sort of stuff. But to pause all of that, because that's exactly what's going on. That's what we're talking about, is the stories we're telling ourselves is then impacting the choices we're making. The choices we're making are impacting what we're experiencing in terms of career and life. So I think really starting to look at this, I think it's super useful as we go into 2021. I mean, we've done a stack of this both personally with our own coaches, but also with our accelerators in the late part of this year, looking at, what our goals are and what we need to believe about ourselves and our environment. And that is another really good process to have us start to think about, oh, okay, what would I need to believe? And then contrasting that with what do I believe right now?
Mm. Yeah, I found this so enriching and so powerful, the way in which we've been prepared to go places that we weren't, like, despite all the great work, we hadn't actually turned that rock over and had a look. And, one of the places is, we've got a real vision for being bold in the world and for speaking more and advocating more around the work we do. And sometimes when women do that in the world, they get a lot of backlash. Stuff comes at them quite ferociously. And you and I have both seen that, and we've seen others experience that. And so I was conscious that I was dialing things down a little bit and wanting to kind of fit in a bit, because I didn't want to escalate things into that space. But once we looked at this piece about, well, what is safety and what is, being prepared to do our great work, we had to examine that. And then by looking, was able to go, well, actually, the worst that can happen is, yes, stuff's going to come at me, but I'm well resourced and well supported to be able to deal with that. And I'm not going to shy away, and I'm not going to not have those conversations, and I'm not going to not put those opinions out there, because that's how we shift things, and that's how we actually get traction on some of these bigger entrenched issues that, all of us kind of would like to see different, to be different, and how I'm prepared to lean into my own fear around that and still show up and still do the work that's necessary.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Fee. I think this work, when we actually really lean into it, is deep personal work. It can be really useful to work with a coach on it. We've just finished the Acts of Confidence program. We just wrapped it then. Having the beauty of having peers where you can bounce stuff off and start to unpack this, even from a peer coaching or a self-coaching. There is a lot. Obviously we've done a lot of coaching training, but also had coaches of our own. So we're able to relatively well coach ourselves through stuff. But of course, both of us have had quite big shifts in the last 3 months, have come from one of the coaches that we're working with, and really doing some of this deeper beliefs and values work as well. So I'd really encourage people to notice with compassion and kindness, and just start to pay attention. And then just look at how perhaps some of these beliefs are limiting the choices of what's possible for you. And again, gently challenge those around, if you were to stretch, and I think, we talk a lot about life begins at the end of your comfort zone. If we were to stretch that map a little bit, our premise is always small acts of confidence, small stretches, not huge, big leaps, but small stretches. And if we were to start to stretch it, millimeter by millimeter, kind of day by day, week by week, all of a sudden we get to the end of a year. And we've seen this with those that have come through Acts of Confidence that were with us at the pilot program at the beginning of the year, and came back and did a second round with us in the back half of the year. Just the shifts that it can have in our own thinking, and really in our own freedom.
Yes. Yeah. This expansion of the possibilities that are available to us as we go here, as we, are prepared to look at and shine a light on and examine what is it that could be holding me back. How did I arrive at that? What's the belief that sits there? And then, as you say, with plenty of compassion and, honoring myself, honoring my own journey here, that, yes, I had that and it served me then. And now I'm prepared to look at it, and does it serve me now? The words that we heard from people with Acts of Confidence, the sense of empowerment they have, the sense there's so much more time. I've got now, things are coming to me because I'm not so rushed and hurried, and I'm able to say no well. I've got good language about saying no. I've got good language. I've dropped all my apologies and that sort of thing, but I'm able to land my messaging really well, whether it's taking on new projects and things I would have said no to in the past, or it's actually being prepared to say, no, that's not what I want to be doing now, and I'd like to give it this a go. This whole piece about people realizing that there are so many more options as I get clearer about, what's going on for me internally and what might be the beliefs that are just no longer serving me.
So we might wrap it there. If you've enjoyed this conversation around confidence, we'd love for you to share it with a friend, a colleague, or if you've got any questions, please drop us a note in the comment feed below. And of course, if you want to go deeper with your relationship with Core Confidence, please visit our website, coreconfidence.com.au. We've got some exciting things planned in the new year. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, and take care.